Lane Kiffin's exit. That's all I'm going to say. What is your take on Lane Kiffin's exit?
I think it is part of the crazy world that we live in. I think it's been interesting, the reaction. Of course, Ole Miss fans are going to be upset, but there's been a piling on from the national media of what a bad guy Lane Kiffin is. I think he did what most of us would do. And I think the money was the same, but I think he left for a better job at LSU that will allow him to have more resources, better access to players. And I think the only thing, and I totally understand Ole Miss's side. Like, I would not have let him coach either, because he's going to be recruiting your players, your staff, potential high school recruits that you're competing for together. He would have been recruiting those away from your own team. So I get that aspect. The only way everyone's happy is if Lane Kiffin stays. Like, that's the only way that not everybody's up in arms, is if he's tried to stay at Ole Miss.
Well, he could have just left and could have got up on a press conference and say, hey, look, I'm leaving. I understand why Ole Miss wants me to leave immediately. I'm going to a team within their conference. I work at Coke and I'm going to work for Pepsi. Coke wants me out of the building. I get it. Instead, he played the victim and, oh, these kids deserve me to coach and we got to figure out a way for me to coach here the next month. It's an unreasonable, silly expectation for a grown man who's now 50. And then I want to challenge you, Danny, on terms of, hey, I think anybody would have done this. And you're mostly right. But Lane, over the last year or two, has leaned into a faith walk and talked about it publicly. So we're not held to the same standard as everybody. And so we can't do what everybody else is doing. Don't claim the cross, don't claim Christianity if you just want to do what everybody else is doing. You're making $7, $8, $9 million a year. Ole Miss is willing to pay you $10, $12 million a year. There's nothing wrong with Ole Miss. That campus is beautiful. You're having success there. Everybody, well, I can get more money and it'll be easier. Well, and I'm holding to the standards that he has accepted. He's claimed the cross. The Christian walk is not the easy path. It's the narrow path. He could have chosen the narrow path.
I disagree. I don't think this makes him, he said he prayed about it. I mean, he said he prayed about the decision. I don't think he knew. My take all along, and I think the last time we talked about it, I don't think he knew until at minimum a week before. And I think it could have gone all the way up till 3 days before the Egg Bowl, before he finally told everybody. I genuinely think he was not sure what he wanted to do. And I'll believe him when he said he was praying about it. He was seeking wise counsel. Like, he kind of took a biblical approach. Nick Saban told him to go to LSU. Pete Carroll told him to go to LSU. Like, anybody who knows the sport's familiar of it told him to go to LSU. Now, if he would have known the minute he would have known, then yeah, I think that would have been the right thing to do. And said, you know what? I'm leaving. You can either keep me through the Egg Bowl, keep me through the playoffs, but I'm going to go take this job. I don't think this makes him a bad person. I don't think it makes him, less of a Christian. I just think it's a decision that was a life-altering decision that he really wanted to give careful thought and consideration to. I do think he wanted the best of both worlds, because I do think he wanted to try to finish the season at Ole Miss and then go to LSU after. And to Ole Miss's credit, they said, no, sorry, we can't take you.
Danny, I love you, but I'm about to push back really hard.
Okay.
So, and here's what happened.
But this isn't like a bad marriage that you don't get divorced, like obey the commandments of the Bible. This is a football coach, right? I mean, he's looking at different options.
I got it. Just let me push back a little bit here. And this will sound like a joke, but I'm not joking. I'm just, and you and I have talked, and my memory's a tiny bit fuzzy, but your faith walk started really young. And your dad discipled you through your faith walk as a child and now on into manhood. I'm accurate there?
Correct. Yes, I got saved when I was 9. I went to a Christian high school. Now, I wandered and had some moments that weren't exactly the best moments, but yes.
But you had a dad that was walking you through your faith walk. Accurate.
Yes.
Got you. And so I think sometimes when you're on a legitimate faith walk, discipled by your dad as a child, I think it creates some naivety that you've been in the walk for so long that it's hard to relate to the half steppers and the backsliders in a real way. And so here, this will sound like a joke, but I'm being dead serious. Because Lane Kiffin, the way he's been open about this, drank and chased tail. You know, he was kind of an out of the closet, no relationship with God, blah, blah, blah. And so when you're early into a naive walk in faith, you start thinking like, hey, these half measures I'm taking, you're really just a lukewarm Christian. I used to be a lukewarm Christian. And so you said, look, he prayed about it and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to tell you the kind of prayers that lukewarm Christians do, because I used to be a real hardcore lukewarm Christian. There was a waitress at Diamond Joe's strip club in Kansas City, Joe Mandicina. We can call him. He was the owner of Diamond Joe's. He loved Joe Mandicina, was one of my best friends, and older guy, older Italian guy. They had a waitress there. I shouldn't say her name, Michelle. I'm not going to say her last name. I used to pray, and I'm talking about I legit pray. I just got to get with Michelle. And I prayed about it. And I did everything in my power. She was just a waitress. She did strip for maybe 3-4 months. But I used to and think I was being Christian, praying, if I could just get Michelle. That's all. And so I'm just him praying, pretty meaningless. It's because those of us that come into the faith or a legitimate faith walk late, we don't know what we're doing. And that's what I see with Lane Kiffin. He's well-intentioned. He's walking it the best that he can as far as he knows, but he needs some correction here. And I'm just, the path is very narrow, and there are things you have to sacrifice if you're legitimately trying to walk with Christ. And that's all the pushback I would give Lane is that, hey, man, I know you called Nick Saban, and I know you called all these other super rich guys that have been in your position. You should have called someone that's legitimate, and not that Nick Saban isn't, but you should have called some faith expert, and they would have said, hey, man, they're going to pay you $10, $12 million a year. You've built a team that can win a national championship. Yes, it would be easier at LSU, but that's not our path to do what's easy. And so I just think that I don't think you fully understand how corrupt lukewarm Christians are. And having been a lukewarm Christian, I can vouch we're very corrupt.
I would disagree respectfully. I still think he could make a decision to switch schools. Now, if he would have went to Florida, then I would have said he's burning in hell. Like, if he would have gone to the Gators, then that would have been the biggest mistake of his life. Then that's the equivalent of the worst thing you could do as a Christian. So I'll let that one slide. But
Are you really unmoved by my argument? You're unmoved by my argument.
Because I think we're talking about a coach going from a school to a school. Like, how do you know he might not? He said he's impacted enough people at Ole Miss, and now he wants to impact people at LSU. And I think this job is going to be harder than Ole Miss. I don't think it's easier. I think it's harder because of the expectations.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Look, I'll root for Lane and hope he does have a positive. But he just got to be, there's nothing. Look, all he had to do was, hey, I'm taking this job. I'm moving on. I get it. Not a great look for me. I apologize to the kids, but this is what's best for me. Instead of, we got, hey, look, this is unfair to the kids. I should be allowed to coach. I should be allowed to continue to work at Coke until a month from now when I go work for Pepsi. That's just a ridiculous, narcissistic request.
Fair. I think he could have handled it differently. And maybe he does. Maybe he says, I'm not even going to listen to anybody until our season's done. And he still could have left. That might have been the best solution.
All right. Last thing, and I'm gonna let you go. If you can grant me 2-3 more minutes, I do want your take on what we saw from Shedeur Sanders this past weekend. I felt like on field, I thought I saw some progress. I think off field, I saw the same guy. He is not a leader. Period. End of story.